Hi everybody, welcome to that show, which will be divided into two parts. The first one will be a theater play about Eyup outside, and the second one will be like a meeting with minor actors of a special organism who are going to talk to you about. Thank you.
Tea, orange juice.
Yeah, please.
Eyup station, final stop, Eyup station.
Okay, so this is Eyup. Well, once I take notes, I might be taking pictures as well. Okay, so I'm ready. Let's go now.
Where are you, Marion?
I'm in a housing area, and all the houses are made of wood. It's very clean, very colorful. It seems that it has been painted like 5 days ago, a little bit like Disney decoration, but it doesn't seem to take much from the origin of the place, maybe the 14th century.
Is there a lot of people? How does it look like?
Yeah, there are a few people around me. Most of them, they're religious, as I see the woman wearing their scarves. I don't know if they live here, because most of them come from the ferry. I just hope it off.
Where are they going?
They're going towards the mosque. And as I walk on, following people, it starts to get crowded, because it's Friday. It's soon going to be the praying time. And I'm looking forward to witnessing their religious tradition of setting the colorful praying mats on the floor.
Marion is walking, Marion is watching, Marion is reaching the mosque. Do you know where you are?
Yeah, I'm next to Eyup Sultan Mosque. It used to be a pilgrimage spot, if I recall well, and it still actually is, because a lot of people gather to pray as the religious famous characters called Eyup's tomb. That's a Muslim place where people gather in a very religious, spiritual, and respectful atmosphere. Men, for example, gather at the fountain, in the middle of the mosque courtyard to wash their hands and the face.
What kind of people is there?
That's look like a mix of generation, the matching pots, the young students get on very well with the others, drinking tea, having kebabs. That's a nice place, no matter you're rich or poor. That's a pilgrimage spot, so everyone is welcome here. Tradition is prominent, but I'm afraid that one day tourism might take priority over tradition. For example, in some shops, they sell wooden objects, testimony of a new tradition, but as tourist souvenirs. Women are walking all across the courtyard. It's soon going to be the prime time, I'm sorry. I'm not paying crossing, I'm sorry. I would like to cross the crowd. I'm fighting against the crowd. Suddenly, don't stop. They're praying inside. I'm looking for the cemetery. What is it? Oh, I see a sign. Yeah, the cemetery say that it's up here. So let's go.
Marion is walking, Marion is watching, Marion is reaching the cemetery.
Vegetation is everywhere. The vegetation, nature, and the tombs merge well together. On the other hand, there is a contrast between the green high trees and the white of the marble on the tombs. They're overlapping each other, that's quite fun. But you rather feel that you're in a park than in a cemetery. Some people are praying at their family's graves. It's a silent place. And as I walk along the footpath, I'm surrounded by the tombs, which are protected by walls. I'm not sure where I am because I can barely hear the sound from here. That's a place apart.
Purity?
Oh no, thank you. Okay, thank you. As I said, there are a few people here. That's funny because the kids play in the cemetery. They jump from one tomb to the other. I'm sure they come from the neighbors. Oh, be careful, the funicular! Watch out, the funicular! You just passed over your head. It's reaching that place.
Purity.
No, thank you. And once you're on the top of that hill, you have a nice scenery over the city. That's Hagia Sophia, the Golden Horn, the Galata Tower. That's simply beautiful. Simply beautiful.
Purity.
Oh yeah, why not? I'm sorry, that's my cake. That's my story. Okay, I'm heading off now.
Marion is walking, Marion is watching, Marion is reaching the surroundings. Where are you?
Where are you?
I'm in the cemetery. No, I'm in this house is garden, no, maybe the cemetery. No, this garden, definitely. Let's say that on the edge of the cemetery, which is from time to time blurred.
Where are you right now?
I'm here, in between. Oh, I see a man. He's drinking tea. That's a nice park. That's very peaceful, very calm. You must have to grab that tea from the cafe here. Oh, I makes a football club. I don't know, there are a lot of men. I feel a bit out of place. Yeah, they together maybe all day long to chat together, watching football games. That's a simple place.
Marion is walking, Marion is watching, Marion is reaching the playground.
There are lots of children here. They go shopping for other people. They play around this playground, which used to be the center of this district. They have way much more activities here than on the other side, if you remember. The topography is quite impressive. There are some, burned down houses which are not taken care of at all, next to spontaneous disorder, vegetation, on some derelict squares. And on the top, I can see some cars that are parked there with tourist buses, to reach quicker the cemetery. Yeah, sometimes you just, okay, that's fine. And the road that's scattered apart, and you don't know which one is to be taken first. So, let's go.
Marion is walking, Marion is watching, Marion is reaching the new tenements. Marion, where are you?
Yeah, I'm in a brand new neighborhood with, new high tenements, with different colors, with those shells. It looks like Ottoman pastiche tiles, horizontal, vertical lines. Yeah, and the materials are glued on artificial facets.
Well, what's catching your eyes?
The rooms in between, the ruin of previous housing that occurred here. They collapsed, or maybe they were torn down on purpose due to densification.
But do you think the same people is going to live there?
Of course not the same people, wealthier people. The poorest are evicted out of the city. Maybe it's called gentrification. But can I stop it? Maybe I should stop that. Are there some tracks or remains of that previous informal form of habitat left? was handmade using various and recycled materials, but this time the material had their own functions according to their properties. And the people who managed, were responsible for this construction, were very inventive in such a way that they managed to build very clever public spaces with smooth paths to offset the topography, always taking care of the neighbor well-being. What a shanty town! But this form is very different from that one. Maybe, what about mixing them together? What about one influencing the other and resulting in creating an hybrid form?
How to use the overlapping edge properties between the cemetery and the housing area. How to protect the vernacular houses from the gentrification phenomenon in the city with a high densification rate.
What are the quality and the downside of the vernacular area and the gentrified tenement? How can we make them influence each other in a better way?
Thank you very much. Thank you for attending that theater play, whose purpose is to acknowledge you about the main issues of Eyup. Welcome then to the second part of the show, and of course, I'm going to welcome my guests. So let me introduce you the three main people involved in an organism called the social laboratories of Eyup, nicknamed the SOLAB. So welcome, me, Marion, and Christophe, responsible for the dissemination of that organization. Welcome, me, Marion, in charge of management of the Inhabitants Association of the SOLAB, and Lucas, Brazilian architect, coordinator of the SOLAB. So, where is located the SOLAB, you observed two forms of habitat, the vernacular one and the gentrified one. But at various steps of the construction and the construction process, we've seen rooms of vernacular houses, new tenements, and the construction tenements, no man land, which is to be densified.
Exactly, and we want the SOLAB to be settled in the middle of those kind of architecture, the informal one, the formal one. We wanted that to be really in the center of those overlapping system of architecture. And we were thinking of various places to put the SOLAB to be well connected to the district, and as we can see now. And afterward, we were thinking of one particular place that we are now going to zoom on. And it could be the gathering of all the poles that we wanted to put on the SOLAB in different kind of fields, political fields, social fields, architectural fields, and yeah, that would
Okay,
be
great.
decided to do.
Lucas, what are the main points that the SOLAB of Eyup is based on?
Well, the SOLAB was created after the Ashanti town of Eyup was destructed for giving place for brand new tenements gentrified. So we have principles that defend a collective work with recycled and reusable materials.
Okay, very interesting. So what are your main tools to fight against eviction and destruction?
Indeed, in this SOLAB association group, we have three kind of departments, so educational, social, and logistic. It's not totally divided, they're living, they're working together. So on the social side, what we try to do is to help the poorest with, and provide the minimum services, which is required for minimum hygienes in the vernacular area, for example. side, we are working on the aspects of the fact that if we need to give the people the tool to defend themselves. So we are stressing the fact that they have a right to live here, they have a right to a home, to a place, and to occupy the public space as any other persons. And the logistic side is about getting materials to form a kind of cooperation, also create new employment, local employment, which can be localized, for example.
Okay, thank you. But how to give more power to your organization and disseminate it nationally or internationally?
We are right now looking for sponsorship. We are already inhabitants who are involved in this organization. We are creating events, debates. We are also creating play, like the play we saw earlier in this program. All those kind of things to give the people the right to answer, as Kevin said, to give the right to defend themselves against something that is bigger than themselves. So we are trying to train the people in different fields, like I said, educational, maybe in construction, in politics, and to give them the tools to respond to some political decisions.
And within the very much context of the Eyup.
Okay. But did you get inspired from other organizations, maybe from abroad, Lucas?
Yes, of course, we have some references. For example, the collective Todo por la Praxis, they work with some intervention to revive the identity of the places, because they believe that the gentrification destroys the memory of the places. We also have the Spanish architect Santiago Serigueda that works with other collective buildings with recycled and reusable materials and not necessarily with legal permission. And also we have this great reference, there is Alejandro Aravena from Elemental Architecture that gave social housing constructing formally only the most difficult and most expensive area, like the white zones, like kitchen and bathroom, and then he leave the other parts to be built informally for the owners, giving the identity.
Very inspiring, yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my guests. Hope to see you very soon again. Thank you, everybody, and see you next week. Bye-bye.